Imagine a weapon that fires no bullets, launches no missiles, and makes absolutely no sound. Yet in the span of a single millisecond, it can blind every radar within range, sever every drone communication signal in the sky, confuse every incoming missile guidance system, and simultaneously paralyze an entire naval fleet from a single compact platform sitting quietly on the back of a truck. This is not a concept being developed in some classified laboratory for the year 2040. This technology exists right now. It has already been tested in real military exercises alongside fifth-generation fighter jets. It has already been acquired by multiple nations, and it was engineered by a country that has spent decades turning battlefield necessity into world-leading innovation. The system is called Scorpius, Israel's electromagnetic sword. And once you truly understand what it does and how it does it, you will never look at modern warfare the same way again. For thousands of years, the nature of warfare was defined entirely by what soldiers could physically see, touch, and destroy. The sword, the cannon, the tank, the missile, all visible, all kinetic, all operating within the observable physical world that human beings have always understood intuitively. But over the past several decades, a profound and largely invisible transformation has taken place across every major military on Earth. As the most critical functions of modern warfare quietly migrated away from the physical domain and into something that no human eye can directly observe, the electromagnetic spectrum, that vast, silent ocean of radio frequencies, radar pulses, satellite navigation signals, encrypted data communications, and sensor networks upon which every single modern weapon system now depends for its targeting, its guidance, its coordination, and its very ability to function on a battlefield at all. Control that invisible spectrum, and you control the entire war. And that is precisely the strategic logic behind Israel's extraordinary Scorpius electronic warfare system, a platform that was built from the ground up to achieve total dominance over this invisible battlefield, with a level of sophistication that left the global defense community genuinely astonished upon its public unveiling. Scorpius is an advanced family of electronic warfare systems developed by AESA Systems, a subsidiary of Israel Aerospace Industries, the same engineering organization responsible for building the radar systems that power Israel's world-famous Iron Dome air defense network, which means the technological pedigree behind Scorpius is not rooted in theoretical research alone, but in decades of real-world, combat-proven radar and signal intelligence work conducted under genuine operational pressure. Israel Aerospace Industries, commonly known as IAI, is a semi-state-owned defense corporation that represents the absolute cutting edge of Israeli military technology development. And when it chose to publicly unveil Scorpius in November of 2021, it did so with an extraordinarily bold claim that this was not merely an improvement upon existing electronic warfare systems, but the world's first platform capable of simultaneously targeting multiple threats across different frequencies and different directions at exactly the same moment, a capability that no other system on Earth had previously demonstrated, and one that fundamentally altered the strategic calculus of electromagnetic warfare for every military that understood its implications. Everything that makes Scorpius genuinely revolutionary, every capability that sets it apart from the generation of electronic warfare systems that preceded it, flows directly from its foundational technology, a sophisticated engineering architecture known as Active Electronically Scanned Array, or AESA, which represents a quantum leap beyond the mechanically steered antenna arrays that defined electronic warfare systems for the better part of the 20th century. Where traditional systems relied on physically rotating antennas to point their beams toward threats, a slow, sequential, and tactically limiting process that could only address one direction and one frequency at any given moment. AES uses a dense array of solid-state transceiver elements built with advanced gallium nitride semiconductor material, each individually programmable in real time, allowing the system to electronically steer multiple independent beams simultaneously in completely different directions. at completely different frequencies against completely different threats, all without moving a single mechanical component, and doing so with a receiver sensitivity and transmission power that dramatically exceeds anything legacy electronic warfare platforms could achieve even under ideal conditions. The single most operationally significant achievement of the Scorpius system, and it is a claim that has not been credibly challenged by any competing defense organization anywhere in the world since its unveiling, is that it stands as the first electronic warfare platform in history genuinely capable of engaging multiple completely different threats simultaneously, not sequentially, not in rapid alternation that merely creates the illusion of simultaneity, but truly at the same moment, with independently optimized jamming responses tailored specifically to each individual threat's unique electromagnetic signature. This distinction matters enormously in real combat scenarios because modern adversaries have spent considerable resources designing attack strategies specifically intended to overwhelm legacy electronic warfare systems by launching coordinated multi-vector assaults, sending missiles, drones, and radar-guided weapons simultaneously from multiple directions on the calculated assumption that any single jamming platform would be forced to prioritize and could therefore be saturated. Scorpius was built specifically to invalidate that entire strategic assumption, removing from the adversary's tactical playbook the very saturation a tactic doctrine that billions of dollars of opposing military investment had been designed around. What elevates Scorpius from a remarkable technological achievement to a genuinely doctrine-shaping military capability is the extraordinary comprehensiveness of its deployment architecture. Because Israel Aerospace Industries did not design this as a single platform solution for one specific tactical environment, they engineered an entire interconnected family of 5 distinct variants, each optimized for a different operational domain while sharing the same core AESA technological foundation, creating a unified, coherent approach to electromagnetic dominance that spans land, sea, air, and even the training pipeline that prepares pilots to operate within contested electromagnetic environments. The family consists of the ground-based Scorpius G, the naval Scorpius N, the aircraft self-protection pod designated Scorpius SP, the airborne standoff jammer called Scorpius SJ, designed to project electronic attack capability across large geographic areas from a safe standoff distance, and finally the Scorpius T training variant, which can simulate an enormous variety of modern air defense systems simultaneously from a single platform. A capability so advanced that it was used during the International Blue Flag 2021 air exercise, alongside 5th-generation fighters from multiple allied nations, on the land battlefield, where armored formations must move continuously through environment, as saturated with radar-guided artillery, precision drone swarms, and battlefield surveillance systems. The Scorpius G introduces a fundamentally new kind of mobile electromagnetic protection that moves with the force rather than defending a fixed installation, providing a continuously updated, dynamically responsive electronic shield that can neutralize threats as they emerge, rather than waiting for them to reach terminal engagement range. Mounted on standard military vehicles for rapid tactical deployment, the Scorpius G can operate as a standalone unit, providing localized protection, or it can link with other Scorpius G units across a battlefield in a networked configuration that multiplies its coverage area to an operationally decisive scale, essentially throwing an invisible electromagnetic dome over an entire armored brigade that blinds enemy targeting radars, severs drone command links, and defeats guided munitions before they can even begin their terminal attack phase, turning what was previously an area of critical vulnerability for ground forces into a domain where the technological advantage firmly belongs to the side-fielding Scorpius. The open ocean environment presents perhaps the most demanding set of electronic warfare challenges that any system designer can face, because a naval vessel at sea is simultaneously a high-value strategic target, a relatively slow-moving and radar-conspicuous platform, and a ship that must defend itself and the entire task force around it against threats arriving from every direction simultaneously. Over the horizon, anti-ship cruise missiles traveling at supersonic speeds, swarming unmanned aerial vehicles coordinating their attacks through encrypted data links, airborne surveillance radars constantly probing for targeting solutions, and submarine-launched weapons whose detection windows are measured in seconds rather than minutes. The Scorpius N was engineered specifically to meet this extraordinary defensive challenge, designed for installation on frigates and corvettes where it projects what its designers describe as a comprehensive electromagnetic protective dome over an entire maritime task force, providing early detection at extended range and deploying precision jamming beams that intercept threats at distances far beyond the point where conventional close-in weapon systems would have any realistic ability to engage them effectively. For military, the electronic warfare landscape has grown dramatically more lethal over the past 2 decades as adversaries deployed increasingly sophisticated, integrated air defense systems specifically engineered to counter stealth technology, defeat conventional chaff and flare countermeasures, and coordinate multiple surface-to-air missile engagements against a single aircraft formation simultaneously, creating an environment where even the most advanced fighter jets face genuine survivability questions without robust self-protection electronic warfare capabilities. The Scorpius SP self-protection pod addresses this challenge by providing combat aircraft with an autonomous, continuously active electronic defense system that detects, classifies, and responds to threats across the full spectrum of air-to-air and surface-to-air engagements without requiring pilot intervention, while the complementary Scorpius SJ standoff jammer takes the system's capabilities in the opposite strategic direction, projecting offensive electronic attack power across large geographic areas from a safe standoff distance, suppressing enemy air defense networks across entire operational theaters, and creating the electromagnetic corridors through which Allied strike packages can penetrate without being detected, targeted, or engaged by the defensive systems that bold otherwise threaten them. The strategic implications of a system like Scorpius extend far beyond the boundaries of any single conflict or any single nation's defense posture, because what Israel has demonstrated with this technology is a fundamental proof of concept that the electromagnetic domain is now the decisive domain of modern warfare, the layer of the battlefield where wars can be won or lost before a single kinetic weapon is ever fired, and where technological superiority translates more directly into operational outcome than in virtually any other military domain. Defense analysts noted that the United States military was closely watching Scorpius development, while Alta Systems confirmed the system had already been acquired by 3 undisclosed countries at the time of its public announcement, a remarkable commercial achievement for a system that had only just been publicly revealed, and one that speaks to how urgently major military powers recognized the transformative operational advantage that simultaneous multi-threat electromagnetic engagement represented compared to anything previously available in the global defense market. Scorpius does not represent the destination of electronic warfare development. It represents the opening of an entirely new chapter because the same AESA and gallium nitride technological foundation that powers Scorpius today is a scalable, software-upgradable architecture that will continue to evolve in capability as processing power increases, as machine learning algorithms are integrated into threat classification and response selection, and as the electromagnetic threats it must counter themselves become more sophisticated and more numerous in the increasingly contested battlefields of the coming decades. What Israel has accomplished with this system is not merely to build a better electronic warfare tool. It has fundamentally reframed the entire strategic conversation about how nations protect their forces, project power, and compete for dominance in the invisible spectrum that now underlies every aspect of modern military capability, from the most advanced stealth aircraft to the most basic battlefield communication radio. And that reframing will drive defense investment decisions, military doctrine development, and arms competition dynamics across every major power on Earth for decades to come.